All right, we'll be starting in a few minutes, just doing a sound check here. If people can kind of hear us, just kind of give a shout out in the chat. And as people kind of join on, like was mentioned in the previous slide, if you could please um, say where you're from and what you hope to get out of the webinar, that'd be awesome. So we'll start momentarily. See more people kind of joining on right now. All right, great. Um, we can hear you. So why don't we actually get started? First, welcome to our August webinar on our August product release. Now, this is a summary webinar covering everything that we've kind of released since the prior webinar. I think that was back in June or July. Okay, so glad to have you all here. I am happy to have a awesome group of product managers with me here and a special guest from our software engineering team with me. We got Cams, Kate, Luna, and Sid, and I'm Jeffrey. So nice to meet you all, and let's actually kind of get started. Next slide, please. So we have a pre-packed agenda today. A couple of key things to kind of note. We have both the chat and the Q&A screen. Okay, if you could actually put in your questions into the Q&A, one of us will end up taking it and answering it for you. If it is a fairly evolved question, we may answer it live. Okay, and obviously, feel free to use the chat for other things too. If you accidentally put in a question in the chat, we'll try to catch it and answer it too, and you might actually see us move it over to the Q&A section. Okay. Now, for our agenda, we actually are going to go over the platform. A lot of great enhancements have happened there. You guys can read the screen. Then we're going to transition over to Agent Creator, where Luna is going to be talking to us about that. We're going to go over enhancements in our snaps that are pretty great there. Cams will be covering that for us. And for our data products, we'll be having Kate talk about that. And with that, let's see, next slide. I think I turn it over to Sid, right? Yep, and here are all of us, so you can kind of line up our names to our faces. Next slide. And over to you, Sid.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Sid Verma. I'm a senior product manager here at SnapLogic, and I'm super excited to be talking about the platform updates that we have as a part of this webinar. Yeah, so first we'll talk about the global product UX refresh that's coming across the board. And for that, I'll touch upon the changes to Monitor, Notification Center, and then talk about the platform level changes as well. Next slide. All right. So as most of you are aware, last time we talked about Monitor, which is going to be the default SnapLogic observability app replacing Dashboard. The update here is that the Dashboard retirement date has been pushed to October. The updated final retirement dates for Dashboard now are October 7th in the EMEA region and October 8th in the North America region. That's when Dashboard will finally be retired in production. Until then, you still have an option to invoke the classic Dashboard and monitor your SnapLogic executions. Why are we making this change? So we identified and have already fixed a critical vulnerability, which will make it in the October release, and then that's why we will then retire Dashboard. We wanted to make sure the system is 100% ready and robust for all your observability needs. We are also taking this time to rapidly iterate on the feedback that we've been receiving in order to make Monitor the most performant and usable user experience when it comes to Snap Logic observability. Next slide, please. All right, so what are some of the changes that's coming in Monitor? So in terms of enhancements now, for the infrastructure level metrics, we can see a new Snaplex level metrics capability that lets you observe your metrics at the Snaplex level, not just node level. We also are surfacing disk utilization metrics. And then within pipeline executions, we have improved the usability of pipeline executions, where you can see enhanced filtering and searching on the pipeline executions table. There's better color coding that lets you see the failed versus stopped versus running or successfully running pipelines. We have also surfaced critical metrics such as CPU and memory utilization per snap. So this lets you understand which snaps are performing well and which are taking up a lot of infrastructure resources. And finally, we also have a view to allow you to see your nested pipelines, so meaning child pipelines nested under parent, and then also a flattened view, which most of you will recall classic dashboard also allowed for. Okay, next slide. With that said, we can get into the demo. Whatever configurations you made to the table are going to stick. So I'm just logging out and showing to you that these table configurations are going to stick. Looks like
it looks like we had some audio issues. Let's actually have you share that video on your side, and then you can talk over it.
Sure.
All right. These are some of the challenges with doing a live demonstration here, or a live webinar.
Okay, let me go back to. All right. I'll switch all the way here. That's where I was. So as you can see,
if you want, you can kind of go all the way back to the beginning. We should be good. That way everyone gets a full experience.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right, let me take it from the beginning. So, all right, from the infrastructure section, you can see we've added the all execution nodes, which allows you to see Snaplex level metrics. And you can, if you have feedmaster nodes, you'll see another section for all feedmaster nodes. This will allow you to see at the Snaplex level, not just at the node level. So here I'm just showing, yes. So now you can see I'm switching between the different nodes and Snaplexes. Also, from this, when you go into all nodes, you will see that you have an open in metrics view. So this directly makes the link between Snaplex level here and then launching directly into metrics, making it easy for you to switch. All right, going to pipeline executions, we have made it more user-friendly in terms of color coding and for easier and better scannability of which pipelines were stopped and which ones have failed. So as you can see here, if I use one of these preset filters, you see all the fails are in red, and then the ones that have been stopped manually are in yellow. The completed ones stay in the default color white. This table configuration allows to be able to see essentially the columns that I want to see. And so you're able to filter out the columns that you're not interested in seeing. So for example, here, I just went ahead and unchecked owner, type, and status columns and filtered them out of the view. I'll click apply. And as you can see, they've gone away. When I log out and log back in, you'll see that those columns stay out of the configuration as I had selected. Now I'll go ahead and select them back in, and then I'll log out and back in, and you'll see that they stay in the table. So this goes to show that your preferences of how the table or how the table appears are associated with your user settings, and they persist across your sessions. So within your org, different people may have different preferences for how they want the table to appear, and we can support that. Also, within pipelines, we've added this capability to search for pipelines, which is essentially a search and filter. So now you can filter to see one particular pipeline. Same thing you can do for Snaplexes now. So within Snaplexes, you can search for a particular Snaplex. For example, here I'll copy this field and search for this, which essentially filters out or filters in only those Snaplexes. And as you can see, you can do the same thing from this table filter configuration modal. Perfect. And then you will see that within Snap statistics, we've added CPU and memory. These are key metrics that allows you to see which snaps are doing well and which snaps are resource intensive. Perfect. And then finally, you're seeing the nested and flattened view up top, the toggle for that. And so the flattened view shows you, sorry, I'm just going back to the flattened view, which shows all the child and parent pipelines out flattened without the hierarchy, but switching back to nested allows you to see which one's a child pipeline under which parent. So all of this contributes to better usability and scannability when you're analyzing your pipeline executions. And finally, we've gone ahead and added disk utilization metrics, which are crucial given a node. So here I'm opening node details, and you're seeing what disk utilization did this node have in terms of size. and percentage used. So these are critical infrastructure utilization metrics that comes in handy when you're analyzing your nodes. All right, that was it for the demo. I'll switch back. I'll stop sharing. And then, Jeffrey, do you mind pulling up? Perfect. All right, now let's talk about some of the other product changes that's coming. So maybe one slide back. Yes. So let's talk about the notification center changes. This is part of the global product UX refresh that we're doing. And so in this change, essentially notification center that used to be part of admin manager, you will now see folded into monitor. It doesn't mean notification center is completely going away from where you were used to having it. It's just that the new notification center now lets you view and interact with notifications real time, and it gives you a unified interface to create notifications, view alerts, events, and notifications, making it easy to manage them. So let's go ahead and play the video, and we'll see what the changes are.
To the notification center and how that looks over here on the monitor side. So you'll notice we have here alerts, activity, notices, notification settings. We also wanted to pull activity and alerts tables into notification center as well. And that's just to kind of consolidate everything into one area, just separated by tabs, easier to find rather than kind of clicking through or having separate pages for all of these things. So we also wanted to keep alert history and activity logs out of the notification separately as well, just to ease with the transition of, for the users that are already used to these two pages here. And then when they navigate to notification center, they can also see it here. And it's going to be the same table, same data. Only thing is that we upgraded this to the new Jelly Roll table, so it's going to have the new filter functionality here. You can filter it only by all open and close for alerts, and same thing here. Nothing too different data-wise and display-wise for the table, but just having the new Jelly Roll functionality, as well as here for activity logs table. You can download. We'll kind of breeze through this because it's pretty similar to the functionality before, but just upgraded table, as well as these two. These are also upgraded to the Jelly Roll table as well. You can search by name, email, filter by event type, and also filter by these underlined filterable clickables, I should say. And it'll show here as a chip that you can then close and remove the filter. Similar functionality as before, just a little bit of a different look. And because these two are available out here, we make the default page or tab for notification center the notices, and that's what this page was, the user notifications on the IP manager side. We show the messages here, and you can manage them, mark as read. Oops. Sorry, accidentally clicking. So you can delete, mark as read. Sorry, I missed on clicking the drop down. You can see the new drop down here. Filter by unread. And you can see that the type of notification is signified by this icon here. This is a org message. So based on the org, this is an important message, user message, and that's because one of my test accounts I removed from the org, and this is from a separate org. And then this table specifically is going to list the messages for this org that you can manage rather than managing messages from a different org.
Perfect. Now let's quickly look at the next update, which is the API limit settings that exist in Classic Manager, and we're basically building it within the new Admin Manager. As most of you are aware, we plan to deprecate Admin Manager in the future, but right now you do have access to both Classic Manager and try out the new Admin Manager. So this screen you're seeing, you're able to, as an admin, you're able to update the API limits. And then in the new Admin Manager, that screen functionally is exactly the same, but it's cleaner. It's much more easier to update the API limits. All right, let's go over the platform updates that we made outside of what we just talked about. So we introduced a new Git provider called Microsoft Azure with Entra ID to replace Microsoft Azure DevOps repository. This new feature does not cause your existing Azure DevOps integration with SnapLogic to fail. But essentially, earlier this year, Microsoft discontinued registering new Azure DevOps OAuth users in favor of Microsoft Entra ID, and that's the notification that you're seeing on screen. So Microsoft Entra ID is a recommended identity and access management platform for authenticating users. Again, though your existing Azure DevOps-based authentication SnapLogic Git integration continues to work until its official end-of-life date in 26, we recommend switching to Entra ID platform, as Microsoft themselves are recommending. So if you go to the next screen, you see the user experience for existing customers who subscribe to Azure DevOps. The UI will present both options, Microsoft Azure DevOps and Microsoft Azure with Entra ID. It's only when you select the former, you'll get this notification reminder reminding you to switch to Entra. All right. And then some other updates we made within platform. If you go to the next, essentially enhancing our public APIs. So now we have support for JSON Web Tokens, or JWTs, to authenticate public APIs. The business value for this for you is essentially it helps you avoid the need to pass the username and the password in the authorization header. And so this ensures data integrity and prevent tampering, because any modification invalidates the token, and obviously sometimes user ID and passwords expire. So you can use your choice of identity provider, for example, Okta being a popular one, or token generators. And so basically what you're seeing here is the JWT tab on the Admin Manager. Authentication page provides the field to configure the environment to use JWTs. So this update essentially allows you to have much stronger authentication for your public APIs. In addition, we've also made changes to Asset Catalog APIs. Asset Catalog APIs are now available to retrieve tasks, pipeline accounts, and return a list of assets. So those were all the updates for platform. I see a common theme in the questions as to how can I see other pipelines. So the answer to that is, if you're an admin, you will see a little text that says showing all executions under the title pipeline executions on the page, which basically means you'll be seeing all executions, all the users' executions if you're an admin, right? Now, if you're not an admin, you'll be seeing the text that says showing your pipeline executions or showing your executions, which essentially means you're only entitled to see the pipelines that you've been given the permission to see. So As a user, you cannot see all the pipelines. You'll only be seeing all your pipelines.
All right, thanks, Sid. Gotta stay on track here. We're a little bit over, so let's actually quickly switch over to Luna and actually talk about agent career updates. Now, feel free to keep on asking questions in the Q&A section, and Sid can actually go in and answer those for you. So Luna,
Okay.
over to you.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Okay, ready to see exciting new features for Agent Creator? Let's take a look at the big picture first. So we've launched a preview of 2 MCP client snaps. This empowers your agent to access resources from public MCP servers. And next, we have partnered with the APIM team to give you the ability to manage your OpenAI LLM calls. This also lets you use your existing OpenAI Snappack to connect to other models, even the local models, as long as they are compatible with the OpenAI interface. And we've introduced 2 new ways to create LLM applications and agents. This corresponds to the OpenAI's Responses API, which is the latest API, and Google's Vertex AI. They come with some very useful features and built-in tools. Apart from those, we've also upgraded our existing LLM snaps to support more parameters and new models. And finally, you will see some great UI enhancements to improve the user experience. And now let's dive into each one. So first up, the support for MCP. What is MCP? It's Model Context Protocol, which is developed by the Anthropic that standardized how applications provide context to large language models. Simply speaking, it has 2 parts, the client side and the server side. The server exposes your tools, your services, resources, or your pipelines for clients to use. And on the client side, by connecting to a model, you enable the model to autonomously choose the server and use the server's tools and resources to answer its question. So that makes the model and the client an agent. To support that, we've developed 2 new features. First, the MCP client snaps. These allow you to connect to public servers, list their tools and resources, and access them as needed. This feature is already available in the Agent Creator Experimental Beta Snappack. If you are interested, please contact your CSM for the trial. And soon, we will also be offering the MCP server support, which will let you publish your own pipelines or APIM services as a server for LLM to call. So let's take a look at the MCP client. It includes 2 snaps. You can connect them to a server by configuring the server URL in their account settings. The first snap, the MCP function generator, retrieves a list of all available tools from the server. And the MCP invoke snap sends the request to the server to execute a specific tool. Here is a general overview of how an agent uses the MCP client snaps. We first have a marked prompt in the JSON generator snap. And the next is the MCP function generator. It gets the list of available tools from the server and sends them to the model in the next to calling snap along with the user prompts. The model responds by saying which tools it needs to call in order to answer the user's question. And next, the MCP invoke snap will send the model request to the server. The server runs the tools and returns the result. And then in the message appender, we will add the result to the conversation and send it back to the model in the next loop to get the next instruction or the final answer. This structure aligns with our current agent framework. It is important to note that the MCP itself is a protocol that is still evolving, which is why we have placed these snaps in the experimental snap pack. Our goal is to let you try them out early and provide feedback to us so that we can continue to improve and eventually release them in a more official and stable snap pack. Okay, the next major innovation is ability to use APIM Manager to manage your OpenAI LLM calls. Previously, the requests from the OpenAI Snap Pack were directly sent to the official OpenAI endpoint. If you look at the first bridge in this picture, they are directly sent to the api.openai.com/version1, this endpoint. But now we have developed 3 new custom endpoint accounts that let you define where your requests should be sent. You can enter the URL of any service that is compatible with the OpenAI API, such as Hugging Face, Anthropic, OpenRouter, Ollama, or Grok, and use the OpenAI check completion snap to connect to their service. If you have a local model that is OpenAI API compatible, you can even connect to your local ones. This means that if you have a service on APIM acting as a proxy between you and the OpenAI, you can use the new accounts to connect to the service, and then you'll be able to take advantage of APIM's full suite of policies to manage that communication. And this gives you several key benefits. First, you will have full visibility and control over all your OpenAI interactions. And you can use various authentication and authorization policies to manage permission, so that you can avoid exposing your API keys, since you no longer need to share the API key with all the users who need to use the model. Instead, users can simply be authenticated through APIM policies. And as mentioned, the new accounts also allows you to connect to other model services or local models if they are compatible with OpenAI API. So the difference between the 3 new accounts is just the authentication method. If you need no auth at all, you can use the basic custom endpoint account. If you need some tokens in the header, you can use a second header auth account. And if you want to use some IDP OAuth2 services, then you can choose the third custom endpoint OAuth2 account. So next is our new selection of snaps for creating agents. This page shows the core snaps we currently provided from the 4 vendors, Amazon Bedrock, OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and Google Gemini. And this quarter, we've added 2 new options. First is the OpenAI Responses API. This is the latest and most advanced interface of OpenAI for generating model responses. You can think of it as an upgrade to the chat completion API and a replacement for the Assistant API. The Assistant API will be deprecated in the first half of 2026. This response API supports storing your conversation and retrieving them later with a response ID, which simplifies the way you communicate with model. It also includes several useful built-in tools for agentic workflows, such as web search and file search. The 2 new snaps for the Responses API are the OpenAI Responses API generation, which is for LLM applications, and the OpenAI Responses API tool calling, which is for your agent building. And second is the Google Vertex AI LLMs. And these allow you to use models from the Vertex AI platform, and they include practical building tools from the Google ecosystem, such as Vertex RAG Store, Google Search, Enterprise Web Search, and Code Execution. The snaps are similar to the OpenAI ones. You can use a generate for LLM applications and to calling for agent. We also include a new Vertex AI embedder snap that you can choose to use the embedding models. We've also made a few smaller but important updates. So we've developed a new set of Vertex AI RAG snap that let you to use the managed RAG services from Google. This significantly reduces the effort of manually chunking, embedding, and retrieving data. You only have to perform file-level operations. And on the Azure OpenAI, we now support structured outputs, just like we did in the OpenAI and Google Gen AI in last quarter. So you can require the model's response to follow a specific uniform format by providing a JSON generator so that the model will fit the response into this schema. And we also add support for the reasoning models in Azure OpenAI, and it relates to the parameter, and we also provide the support for related parameters. This is available on both Azure OpenAI and OpenAI. You can use that for the complex multi-step tasks. And finally, we've made some user experience improvements to the UI. The agent visualizer snap now has a reset zoom button, so you can quickly return to the default view. We've also added a collapse and expand buttons to the log area, making them easier to read. And the next one is the prompt composer. It also has some great usability upgrades, including automatic saving of your layout, your conversation, and settings. But a particular useful new feature that I want to highlight here is a schema suggestion and auto-completion. If you could help me with share the video, Kate, that would be amazing. Yeah, this is a video. We are waiting. Kate, could you please help me to share the video? Amazing. Okay, as you can see in the video, you no longer have to manually type out all the long field paths in the Mustache template. You can just type in the keywords and it will auto-suggest, and you can choose which one to use. And if you are working with array, the editor will also suggest the path as soon as you type in the opening hashtag. It will also auto-complete the closing part for you once a suggestion is selected. Yeah, I think we can stop there. Thank you, Kate. And this is basically all we have for Agent Creator in this quarter. And if you like to learn more, please contact your CSM. And back to Jeffrey.
All right, thank you, Luna. That's awesome there. We have a poll coming up here. Should show on your screen momentarily. If we end up having some technical difficulties, again, we'll just have you all answer it in the chat. But the poll is basically, what is your current stage in building or deploying agents? And getting this information back to us would be useful because we are developing Agent Creator, based off of your feedback and your use cases. So hopefully the poll is shown up by now. Let's see. All right. Let me just check. All right, is anyone seeing the poll? Did it come up? I don't see it, was one of the comments. No, is another comment. All right, I guess we're having technical difficulties there. Oh, got a pop-up on the lower left. It's there on the tab. All right. So hopefully People can actually go in and do the poll. We'll give you another like maybe 15 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you for that. And I'm not sure if we have the capability to kind of show the results, but if not, we'll just type them into the chat for you. All right. So going onward, let's go on to the next section. And that should be our snaps with cams.
Yeah, hi everyone. Great to see you all in this webinar. So as you can see, there's a lot of exciting features that is coming out in the August release. Just to let everyone know, the August release is live in GA in all production environments and zones in the US as well as in EMEA. Shortly, you would be receiving the product release announcement with release notes and other fine details of what's included in this release. For snaps, we have we're continuing to advance, adding more snaps into some of our snaps packs that were released in the earlier release. The first one that we have up there is the Syndigo Snap Pack, which we have added some new capabilities for in the Snap Pack that was released in the May release, as you can see. So what is Syndigo? Syndigo is it's a product management system which has, it manages customer product information and some of the challenges that customers face is that it uses a proprietary format called RSJSON, and there's a lot of bespoke integrations that customers are making with the Syndigo system, which makes it difficult for them to scale the information related to products that's coming out of the that's being managed by the Syndigo platform. So we have now the Syndigo Snap Pack, the first release of this address. The first challenge that is out there is for decoding the RSJSON format to a format that is universally acceptable or is universally interpreted by other systems. For us in SnapLogic, that would be a JSON format. So that was our first release out, the Snap Pack that went out in May. But since then, we have enhanced and added additional features into the Syndigo Snap Pack to enable all CRUD operations to support search, create, read, update, and upsert data that is flowing in and out of the Syndigo data management system. So those Snap Packs are the snaps, and the Snap Pack is out there for you to use. And that is the first update in terms of new snaps that we've released. The other enhancements that we have done in terms of oh, sorry, my screen was not moving forward. Yeah, so this is, as I said, this is the updates that were the additional snaps that were added to the Syndigo Snap Pack to enable all CRUD operations for the Syndigo system itself. The other update that we have is catching on in some of the latest trend in the market, which is around event-driven architecture. So we have a lot of Snap Packs that do address the need to move to an event-based model that customers, as they are migrating into the new architecture. For the first one, it does an update to the Salesforce subscriber channel, to the Salesforce subscriber snap, where you have now an ability to subscribe to custom channel events. So Salesforce allows you to create events and subscribe to them, but there are also custom events that can be defined in Salesforce through external tools like the Salesforce tooling API. And with this particular enhancement, customers now can subscribe to these custom events, which has a very distinctive marker, which is has a postfix as _CHN, and that would be how you would identify any custom event that has been created or a custom channel that has been created, and then you would be able to subscribe to this. The next in the same line of supporting more event-driven snaps here for the Kafka Snapback. We have added the support for Kafka Schema Registry to the Kafka Snapback. So, what is Schema Registry? What is that? It's just a centralized service for managing and storing your schemas. This allows the messages to have data consistency and also validation features, so that every message that's flowing in through the Kafka system has the same format and the same structures. So the features that we've added here is one is to support OAuth 2 accounts for the schema registry, and the second one is to be able to actually look at the JSON SR schema format when it comes and supporting it both from the Kafka producer side as well as from the Kafka consumer side. So here is a visual that shows how this works in real time. So you have the messages coming in. It looks up the schema registry to validate that message. It goes back to the Kafka system with the specific schema ID, and that schema ID is what is being read and consumed from the producer and the consumer standpoint. So that's important, and I would say enhancement allows you to take advantage of data consistency and ensuring your messages are in a right format. We will be continuing to enhance the Snapback, and shortly we'll be including support for Protobuf as well. So stay tuned. More updates coming in the Kafka Snapback. To round up all of the other enhancements that we have done with some of the other snaps, one is on the security and authentication, strengthening that for our Redshift Snapback. Redshift now support for the serverless and the Redshift cluster mode on EC2 instances. We have added the IAM's role access and support for those accounts. We released Amazon Athena Snapback in a previous release. Some of the enhancement that we've made to the Athena Snapback, which supports Iceberg tables, is the ability for you to query the Iceberg table metadata. So, there are a set of pre-qualified fields that you are able to use from Athena and in the Iceberg tables format. So there have been some additions to that, and this one specifically is for the Iceberg query snap. So now you can actually query the metadata to get these fields, which can be used in a subsequent snap.
Yes, and with that, we actually have two polls, two questions for our poll that's coming up now. Hopefully you can see it. It's at the upper right next to the chat in between the Q&A button too. Two questions, which open table formats are you currently using? Looking to get feedback there. And also, what's the primary reason you are using or considering an open table format? So if you all can kind of enter your responses into that poll, it'll be helpful for our product managers to make sure we kind of understand from your perspective what's the importance of certain features, what you're kind of doing, how you're doing it, and influence the roadmap, okay, and priorities. All right. So with that, let's actually go on to the next slide. And I think in this case, we'll be handing it over to Kate.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Thanks, team. Welcome, everybody. Finally, I'll be quick because I know we've only got a few minutes left. I want to cover AutoSync today under the banner of data products. So you can see here we've got 4 main areas of focus from the last 3 months of releases. The team has added, some really great import and export functionality to AutoSync. This allows you to, or supports the mechanism for promoting AutoSync data pipelines between environments, so from dev to test to stage to prod, for example, or creating an archivable artifact so that if you need to track what your configuration was at any point in time, you're able to do that using import export and then being able to store that file somewhere in a Oh, I've lost the screen. CI/CD environment. I see that we've stopped sharing.
Yes, looks like we have another technical difficulty going on
There we
here.
go. Let's go
All right,
back again. There we go. Thanks. Yes, so import export, new behavior. It's really helpful, especially if you want to shortcut the capability of the wizard to create new data pipelines. You can absolutely just take an existing one, copy it, and then modify that copy on import. Schema drift reconciliation, we have fantastic schema drift capabilities already in AutoSync, and we've added to that right now. This is this nuance is around handling non-nullable fields and making them nullable. So if you have something that requires a value to begin with and your schema changes so that it becomes optional to have a value, because schema drift does happen, the system will automatically account for that. We've also added additional capabilities for syncing of new objects through Salesforce and Marketo endpoints. I'll touch on that. And we've added some refinements to our error reporting. So we'll be able to take a look at those screens. So first up is this export and import capability. Depending on which view, like if you have the card view, you can see or hear on the lower right, you'll see the bigger squares with the data pipelines in. There's an export option in the menu of the ellipsis, the kebab menu, as we like to call it, that pops up and allows you to export from there. And then you can import using the card at the start of at the dashboard, which usually draws you into the wizard. If the screen in the back is the compressed view, where rather than the card view, you just have the list. Again, there's the pop-up menu on the extreme right-hand side that shows the export commands, and again the button at the top where you can create a new pipeline or import an existing one. So you can see some of the benefits here. As I said, shortcut data pipeline creation, create referenceable artifacts, and most importantly, enforce consistency between environments with the data pipeline. So we do have a demo here. So if I could, let's see if I can do that. Oh, I can, the power. So I'm just going to share this video and hopefully you'll be able to see my screen. So very quick video. You can see I'm clicking on the tab and exporting that that pipeline. It's in my downloads folder, and if I expand this, you'll see there are 2 JSON files in there. Please don't change them. If you change them, it will break. And then you can go back and import this. This is in a different environment. I just pick my zip file, I hit import. It does the swirly thing, and you can see the message at the bottom. And now I can go in and tailor this if I want to, for example, add a different object in Salesforce or Google Sheets. So very simple, very quick. If we can go back, I'll hit stop sharing. We can go back to the deck, please. Da, da, da. You can tell we're live. Let's see. Anybody got them? There we go. Thank you. So the next step, or the next behavior that's been changed, has been the schema reconciliation. By the way, all of these features are available now, as Cam's mentioned. The new release did go live in global yesterday evening and in EMEA the night before. So everything that we're talking about today is now available. So one of the challenges with changing schemas is you need to sometimes change schemas in order to adapt to new IT initiatives or because your business needs change over time. And so one of those changes is having a field that is required, not nullable. You can see in this column where it says under the source, you can see we've got a name field that's a varchar of 255 characters, and it is not nullable. It is a required field. Now, when we sync that, we sync the schema directly across using AutoSync. So it makes the field in the target system also non-nullable. But if I change that in my source system, that's what we call schema drift. And so now I don't have to have a value in that field. When you sync now with the next time with AutoSync, the system will automatically reconcile that and update the schema rather than just break or require you to go and change that schema manually. So this means that any critical pipelines will continue to run uninterrupted. It's seamless. The user doesn't have to do anything. It all happens automatically. Okay, and so that does reduce the amount of IT oversight and overhead, making sure that the systems stay in sync with the schemas. So I'm going to I think the next slide is a video. Yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing again, and I'm going to share my screen so you can see this next video here. So I'm hoping you can see my screen. Another quick one. This is slightly longer. So you can see here I have my data pipeline, and it's going to run an incremental load. So it's only going to update what's different. In my target system, it's a non-nullable field. In my source system, I'm going to turn that off and make it allowed to be nullable. And I can have, if I refresh some of this data here, you'll be able to see that I do have an entry that has this line 4, it has a null entry value in that field. So I'm just going to run this job. Now, typically this would break something unless you've got automatic schema reconciliation, which we do. So you can see it's updated one record, and we scroll down in the target system and you can see that that is now nullable, and it allows it to have a blank value in my additional info column there. Okay, so very simple for an end user to use. They don't have to know anything about it. The system will take it into account automatically. All right, back to the slides. Thank you kindly. So that's that video. A couple of other things that have been added or changed in Salesforce. We use the bulk API behind the scenes. There is a bulk API snap that we leverage to in AutoSync, whether it's version 1 or version 2, to pull data across. But unfortunately, that does not support every Salesforce object. So we've added additional support for a REST API. Again, this is something the user doesn't have to think about. This happens automatically depending on the object you pick. So if you pick something like a knowledge article or contract status in your Salesforce syncing job in AutoSync, it will automatically detect that that is the object that needs a REST API, and will use that if the bulk API is not going to work. So that's supported. That should give you a more seamless experience and allow you to have a more complete data set going forward. Similarly, in Marketo, the bulk extract API that we use does not honor things like the asset and the lead objects. Those have dedicated APIs for them. So we have added, again, automatic support from that. If you pick the asset or the lead object in your Marketo AutoSync data pipeline, the correct API will be used automatically. You don't have to worry. Again, a more complete data set, something that the users don't have to worry about. It happens behind the scenes. Okay. One thing to note, this does not impact existing pipelines. So if you have existing pipelines for Salesforce or Marketo, those will be unimpacted if you are not pulling those objects already. Okay, so those will run uninterrupted seamlessly without impact. A couple of other things here. One of the things that we have been contacted by Snowflake about, you should have seen news about this, they are going to be retiring their single factor authentication, so username password combination. They are going to be retiring that for their APIs. So ahead of that, that's happening in November this year. Ahead of that, in AutoSync, we have added support for the oh crikey, what's it called? Key pair authentication capability. So you can see here the screen previously when you created the credential in AutoSync had a password field. That's now going to have the key pair 2 field entries. Please update your Snowflake related AutoSync data pipelines if you haven't already. This behavior is out now. You can do this as of today. If come November you haven't changed this, things will start breaking. All right, so action is required if you leverage Snowflake and you're using a username password authentication combination. Also, side note, the Snowflake snaps will similarly be affected. This is a change out of our control. This is a change that Snowflake have put in place or are putting in place. So the current Snowflake snaps do support key pair authentication. So please make sure any pipelines that you have, AutoSync or regular platform pipelines, have this change made before November. You've got a few months to get this through the testing process, so it shouldn't be too bad, fingers crossed. But this is something that we cannot change the date on. We are at the mercy of Snowflake for this one, okay? Enough on that topic. And one last thing, we've also enhanced the error reporting. We know things don't always go to plan in any of our systems. It's technology, what can you do? So we have added better error handling, and you can see here in the pop-out pane in the screenshot on the right-hand side, you have an expandable red panel. So previously there was a message, there is an error occurred, click this link and it would drop you into the monitor screens to diagnose the problems. Now you have the hopefully easy to read, easy to understand, and actionable data provided to you. Just have to expand or collapse the pane, so you can then take action. For example, if one of your credentials has expired, that will be the note you get, so you know that you can go into that pipeline, change the credential, and everything should work again. This does mean you should be able to self-serve within the AutoSync screens rather than having to work out what is going on via monitor. That's great, especially if you've got business users who don't work with Monitor on a regular basis. It also means you should be able to solve some of these things yourself rather than having to go through our support network, which does introduce a little bit of latency. So that's also super handy. If you need more details on this or on any errors, obviously you just pop into Monitor, use the tools that Sid shared earlier, and you should be able to find wherever anything is going wrong and be able to fix it. So that is everything from me today.
All right, awesome, Kate.
Back to you, Sid.
We are kind of over time. Please give us feedback on the webinar. There's a link in the chat where you can actually access the Google form, and it's going to be helpful for us. And with that, also wanted to kind of also bring up, documentation. You can get a lot of information there, on how the product works. That's kind of your go-to place. Also, product videos on YouTube. We spend time putting out new content out there. Please subscribe, check out the videos, and let us know what you think. Also, the product blogs, and obviously, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to your customer success manager there to get a demo, learn about a new feature, and get the most out of your SnapLogic platform. So with that, we'll kind of end it, and see you next time. Okay, thank you.